Electric Friends, a Gary Numan podcast, celebrating the tracks by a musical pioneer.
I remember vividly back when I must have been around 12 years old, my family and I were on a trip to the south coast. We were in Penzance and we went to a market somewhere, and I managed to find several Gary Numan cassettes, one of which was I, Assassin. I already had my cassette Walkman with me, so if I'm honest, one of the few things I remember from that trip was sitting in the back seat of my car with my sister while listening to Gary on full volume on my headphones. There was one such track that had me rather mesmerised, not only for its funky and hypnotic sound, but for its fascinating and mysterious title. So for this episode of Electric Friends, we'll look back at 1982's We Take Mystery to Bed. We Take Mystery was the second single to be taken from Gary's fourth album, I, Assassin. It was also the final track of the original album, along with a radio edit under 4 minutes. The album version is just over 6 minutes, while there was also an extended version of nearly 8 minutes long. In fact, the extended version is the only one that features the title of the song in the lyrics. As we covered previously in the Music for Chameleons episode, the album was an experimental LP that featured different musical elements such as jazz, and Numan explored funk sounds with the album, being inspired by the style of Prince and others, but keeping his traditional electronic sound that had come before. It was also known for its contribution from fretless bassist Pino Palladino. The song is something of an explosion of funk, jazz, synthpop and new wave, and although it's a bit of a Marmite track among fans, I love it for this very reason. There's so much going on, the fretless bass, the Moog synths, the jangly guitars, Gary's slurring vocals, and in particular I love the pow 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 punch of the synths in the breakdown. It's all very Prince, David Bowie, it's almost quite Pharrell Williams-esque in its own way. I also love how the verses have this kind of adventurous quality to it, but when it comes to the, well, I guess it's a chorus, it's all strangely sexy and dangerous. Lyrically, the song is similar to She's Got Claws in that it was heavily inspired by his ex-girlfriend Debbie Doran. In fact, according to the Electronic Pioneer book, the song was originally recorded for the dance album before I, Assassin. And Gary explains in the book Praying to the Aliens, We Take Mystery to Bed was about not quite knowing who you're sleeping with when you take someone back. It's another Debbie Doran song really. A line in the track that reads, no natural course of things for her to expect was about me or the way I'd become for a while after the initial success. I had been a little strange. I was like one of those toys you could wind up and then let run around the table without ever falling off. When they get to the edge they turn, but you don't know which way they're going to go. I was wound up and running every which way, but unlike the toys, I did fall off the edge. The first line of the song makes it clear that it's about Debbie. He sings, confiscate letters like D-E-B. Confiscate letters like D-E-B. Non-natural cause of things for her to expect. Gary is also in full mumble mode for this track, if you want to call it that. Not that that's a bad thing, it just keeps the mysterious nature of the track going. It's one of those songs where I just kind of invented words when I sang along with it, as I had no idea what he was saying. I just liked it. And only now did I realise that he is singing Something Is Wrong in the chorus. Who knew? track featured Gary on vocals, keyboards and guitar, with Roger Mason on keyboards, Pino Palladino on fretless bass, Chris Slade on drums and percussion, and John Webb on percussion as well. It was produced by Gary Numan, engineered by Nick Smith, assisted by Sean Lynch, and recorded at Rock City Studios in Shepperton.
There is no longer any harm to me. You're my assassin, but you can't see the crime.
Originally set for release in May 1982, its release was delayed by a month due to apparent production difficulties. There was relatively little radio airplay at the time and poor reviews from critics who had decided to turn against Gary by this point. Writing in the Record Mirror at the time, reviewer John Shearlaw stated, "A joke, it's got to be," and he found the song's only merit in the trendy bass line, and concluding that the game's up and the song was miserable. Despite this, Gary's fans helped the single land in the charts at number 9, only to fall out of the charts after 4 weeks. That kind of chart run was relatively rare back then, and to this day it still remains Gary's most recent top 10 hit.
Number 9
is the highest new entry of the week from Gary Numan. As seen on Top of the Pops, the new blonder than blonde Gary Numan, though he's not showing us what's under the hat at the moment. Straight in at number 9 this week, that's his new single, Gary Numan and We Take Mystery.
There was also a decent music video recorded for the time, plus Gary and his band filmed a special video in New York for Top of the Pops, so well worth seeing those on YouTube if you haven't already. And it's Bside on the track, a great track. It was The Image Is, and that later featured on reissues of I, Assassin. There was also an early version which was a B-side on the 12-inch, and I assume this was the one recorded for dance. It doesn't have any vocals, but it's rather lovely. So looking at your comments about the song on Facebook, Rob Biggs said, walking out of school, hearing it went into the charts at number 9. Everyone around me had given up on him, but not me. At the age of 12, I knew I was right and they were wrong, and it's still the same. Ian Charles said, cracking track with Pino's great bass work. It was a real life highlight back in the day. White Noise is a great example. I wish he'd bring it back. It is, after all, his last top 10 single. Zara DeLuca said, love this time, really exciting. Remember all of us queuing for this at the record shop in Folkestone, and each time the owner would say, I've never known anyone like you lot, no matter how many I buy or what I buy of Gary Numan, you just clean me out. Dave Morton said, I love the way the track starts, straight into it with no build-up. I agree, Dave. One of my faves on the album. I looked up the lyrics and I've been totally miss singing this for years. Again, I agree. On Twitter, the Duke du Relich said, I remember having to ask for it in my local Our Price because it wasn't out on the shelves. I miss Our Price, that was a great shop. It was rather like buying porn back in the day, at least, that's what I was told. Under the counter in a brown paper bag so no one could see it. And over email, John Garland said, "We Take Mystery has long been my favourite single from that period of Gary's career. It's a really well written song and cleverly produced. My main memory of it at the time, though, was when my school friend Stuart dashed home during the lunch break, he lived close to the school, to get the charts as they were announced on the Tuesday lunchtime. He came back to school triumphantly with each chart placing written down on a piece of paper by his mum, bless her. When I saw that Gary was a new entry at number 9, I literally jumped for joy. I would have jumped even higher if I'd known at the time that it would have been his last top 10 hit." So that's it for this episode of Electric Friends. Thanks for all your comments as usual, and as ever, thanks for joining me for this episode. You can catch all previous episodes at newmanpodcast.com. You can also subscribe to the podcast wherever you get them, and please give the show a review and a rating if you can. It really does mean a huge amount when you do. And get in touch on email as well, newmanpodcast@gmail.com, or on the socials. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok, all at Newman Podcast on those. So until next time, see you soon.
Electric Friends, a Gary Numan podcast celebrating the tracks by a musical pioneer.